Gotta look good look for you, good looking
Yeah.
for you too.
Gotta look like the press secretary.
Yeah, one, oh.
Hold on 1 second, sorry, that's the YouTube video that just opened. Okay, we are good to go. Chair Stewart.
Okay, fantastic. Good morning, everyone. I would like to call to order the Township of Cavan-Monaghan Municipal Revitalization and Heritage Advisory Committee meeting for Thursday, February 20th, 2025 at 9:11 a.m. Starting with our land acknowledgement, we respectfully acknowledge that the Township of Cavan-Monaghan is located on the Treaty 20 Michi-Saugee Territory and the traditional territory of the Michi-Saugee at Anishbeg. We offer gratitude to First Nations for their care for and teachings about these lands. May we honor these teachings. Before you, I think everyone has a copy of the agenda. If everyone can take a look at the agenda, and if everything looks to be in order, can I please have a mover and a seconder? Nancy? And John? All in favor? Carried. Fantastic. Do we have item number 4? Do you have any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof today? No, fantastic. Okay, item number 5, minutes. We have the minutes of the meeting held on September 12th, 2024, the minutes of the meeting held on October 28th, 2024, and the minutes of the meeting held on December 20th, 2024 for our review. I'll give everyone a second just to peruse those. And if all looks good, if we can have a motion to move. John, and seconder. Nancy, all in favor? Carried. Fantastic. Item number 6, reports. Do we have anything under there?
No,
No?
if you're thinking about the heritage bylaws, they're under general business.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure. Perfect. Okay, moving on then to item number 7, general business. 7.1 is the review of the proposed draft heritage bylaws. So we have 2 on our agenda today, 7 Front Street and 8 Dufferin Street. Would you like me to chat about them? How do we want to proceed? Okay. So, I have finally found some extra time and I was able to address 2 more bylaws. As I said, they're in the agenda. They were circulated last week. Nothing out of the ordinary from any of the others we've already updated. So I think really, unless I'll just open it up. Is there any questions or concerns? Maybe we'll address it that way. I think the only thing I'll note, maybe that is different from other ones, is for 8 Dufferin Street. Some interior attributes were able to be addressed. This was because this house was previously listed on Realtor. So using some online resources, I was able to utilize those interior photographs. So that might be the only thing people might want to discuss. Is most bylaws to date have only included exterior attributes. But bylaws designation, it is open to interior and exterior. It's just a matter of what is available resource wise, manpower. And again, this will have to go in front of council and the property owners also get a chance. So
Yes.
if there is pushback, we can address it at that time and discuss those interior attributes. Well, any of the attributes, the bylaw in general with the owner. However, I'm under the understanding that they are quite sympathetic to heritage ownership. So I think they might actually be happy to see what has been included.
As Chairman Stewart said, this will, the draft bylaws, once the committee is okay with the content, they will be circulated to the property owners for a 30-day review period, and then we'll go to council for them. We'll accept comments anytime, and then it goes to council for their review after 30 days. And council will ultimately have to adopt the bylaw. Revisions can take place in that time, should there be any objections or comments about the contents of the bylaw.
Do we know what those interior attributes are?
Yes, they're listed.
On page 17
Yes.
of the handout.
So the interior attributes were wood doors and associated door hardware. And it's written as such, it's not detailed to the point where it notes like a door in the living room, it's just wood doors and associated door hardware, with the assumption that one would understand the difference between, picking up a 1999 door hardware from a home renovation type of store versus a cast iron or something similar hardware piece that's existing. Door surrounds and trim, it was lovely, thick, huge door surrounds in the pictures that I was able to access. With baseboards, again, not throughout the whole house, but the typical, 12 plus inches baseboards in what appeared to be the original house, because it does appear that there's an addition. Wood surrounds, window surrounds, trims and sills. Those are quite lovely. Wood newel post and railing on the second floor that had been beautifully restored by, assuming the previous owner. Wood floors again in the original part of the residence, and wood surrounds, trim and decorative corner brackets for opening between rooms. So that essentially the thresholds from one room to another. Again, beautifully restored, maintained. Yes. So unless there's any comments, questions, I guess we could just proceed to a motion. Any, Mark?
Yep,
Okay.
we just support the emotion, well, the motion, the community supports the heritage bylaws as presented.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I have a mover? John, seconder, Nancy, all in favor? Motion carried. Fantastic. Look at us rushing through with the agenda today. Okay. 7.2, our work plan. Okay.
Chair Stewart, before
Oh,
we
yes.
get into this, I just
Yeah.
wanted to, I've updated the work plan with the 2025 budget allocations. As you're probably aware, there was one change from the second, from what the committee presented to council in regards to the train station signage. And I also want to know, from last year, we actually have the money for the cultural mapping student included in it. And I imagine they will be hired in the summertime.
Okay. Okay, so if we all have a work plan in front of us, how would we like to tackle this? Do we just, we'll obviously start at the top. I guess everyone just sort of jump in when they see your project sort of in front of you. So we'll start with Station Parkette by the mural, Station Parkette by the mural landscaping.
So I think that's for when the signage actually gets
Okay,
decided upon and put there, there is funds in there to kind of doll it up a little bit with some landscaping.
okay. The Springville and Ebenezer Cemetery restoration. Annual review to be completed in the summer, volunteers required.
Yes, so
Okay.
this item is the one when we go every year to look at the cemetery and review the condition and identify if any repairs, landscaping, touch-ups, etc., are required. So there is money in the clerk's budget should some repairs be required.
Okay.
Last year, the monuments themselves seem to be in fairly good order. I did note for our Parks and Rec staff that the condition of the Ebenezer monument was being overgrown or was affected by the landscaping, the overgrowth of landscaping, and so they immediately attended to that.
Okay.
So as of last September, everything seemed to be in good shape. So, but we will schedule a visit this summer, and I would appreciate if someone or someone's from the committee would attend with me, and we can go from there.
Okay. So I'm gonna just make a note, so I remember for our next meeting is scheduled for March. When do we sort of want to start thinking about organizing something? So we have a meeting, what, March and then June? So sort of June, this would be like a priority item to assign volunteers or ask for volunteers, I should say. Okay. Perfect. Item 3 is a review and update of the current heritage bylaws. So as we just passed 2 additional ones, and my intent is to tackle at least 2, if not 3, before the next meeting. So I will hopefully circulate a few more before our next meeting. There'll be at least one. I will try not have a meeting without one. I should mention, this is just sort of a note. The bylaws before were grouped, so now we're separating, because that is how they are. The new format is for the organization of bylaws. There was one within the 7 Prince Street and 8 Dufferin Street that I didn't address because it is a monster, and I won't give it an address. It is a monster, and I think I probably would need
A bit of time.
a bit of time with that one, and I think I might even request going back, like doing a draft and going back to the property with the property owner and having another review once I have it in front of me to see if, okay, yes, that was correct, and that's how I did photograph that. And so if anyone sort of sees, oh, why was there one missing, that is why it is a monster.
Just for you to know, Chair Stewart, that's good that you mentioned that. I'm sure this was on Karen's radar also, but when we do present these to council, we would have to repeal the old bylaw. So with the 2 current ones being presented, we're gonna have to think of a way to approach this, because
Okay.
if we repeal the old bylaw and there's a property that we don't have a new bylaw with, it technically loses the designation. At
Yes,
least.
so we don't repeal until we.
Yeah,
So everything is done.
What we're gonna probably do is maybe repeal sections of the old bylaw with the old heritage
Okay.
designations. I think that's my approach with the clerk hat, but thank you for mentioning that. I'm just gonna, I have that on my radar now.
Yes.
Yes, so you will see in the draft bylaws, just for everyone's information, that there is a section that the following excerpts from bylaw number 8526, for example, are hereby repealed. And so it speaks to number 1, 8 Dufferin Street, the description, Schedule A1 and Schedule B1.
Sorry, Karen, I did not do my
Yeah.
homework on reading them.
But yes, it's a good reminder though, so, because we are repealing excerpts, so we will need to go back and make sure that we have repealed all the sections, and that former bylaw is now null and void. So,
Perfect. And I think what I'll do is I'll tackle that one in the spring once the snow is gone. Because yes, as I said, there is, and the owner permitted us to do an interior visit as well. So yeah, it's a monster. If I was working on it full time, it would be like a
Full-time project.
Yeah, it would probably be like 1 or 2, like at least a month, if not 2, of compiling something. So it's a delicate one, and I'll leave it at that. Okay. Sorry, go back there. Okay, number 5, our train station signage. I have a feeling this one's gonna have a good discussion today. Let's open it up for discussion. Anyone want to jump in first?
Sure. I was not at the meeting where this was discussed. And it's always great to have a third party come in out of the cold and have a different viewpoint, which the mayor had. And when he voiced his concerns over the amount of money that the sign was gonna cost, and the fact that it wasn't sort of any special location within the town, he was really questioning the value of that amount of money going towards the sign. Anticipating that council might be doing some budget trimming, and we might not get the funds that we were looking for. I said, okay, all things considered, it's kind of nice to get somebody else's viewpoint. And I just pondered it a little bit and I went, okay. I totally understand where he's coming from. But we still need a marker, something that identifies the location of the former train sign. And then I just went back to some of my previous projects that I worked on. And I thought, well, I got two options for the committee to consider. Number one is just a standard blue cast historical plaque. You see them everywhere. As soon as you see them, you kind of go, oh, that's a historical site. So that was one option. The other option, similar to what I did with the city of Hamilton, is we got a railroad artifact and we converted that into a marker. So in this case, I was thinking of a track switch and the signal flag that sits on top of it could be a plaque. So I'm just gonna circulate this around. But one shows the standard ass blue historical plaque. Standard shape, sits on a post. We have some verbiage that we can put on it. And the other option is to locate, and I phoned a few railroad places to see if we can get a signal switch. And then we just take the top of where the flag would normally be, and that would be a plaque to say, hey, this is where the old railway station was. And then we have a QR code on it if necessary, and then more detailed information would be at the downtown park location, for example. And that would be within our budget.
It would.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like what we're doing with the bell, I think, right?
Yeah.
Is that kind of similar concept
Don't know where it went.
where the bell went?
Oh, we have it.
That would transfer over to Parks and Recreation, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, the project, yeah. But same concept, I think.
So this would be a different story then.
Yep.
Right? From the concept that we have.
Yeah, that we presented
Yes.
to council, yeah.
This is gonna be strictly a marker.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, it's, for those, I guess, because I listened to what the mayor had to say, and I said, you're right, I walk my dog through there all the time. There's no parking, it's not a designated spot where people go to, except when they wanna get water. And if there's gonna be this pushback to the cost, considering all the other things that's on the municipality's plate, then maybe it's best not to ignore the fact that the train station was here, but do something kind of unique. And if not something as unique as the switch, we have a standard historical plaque. And for those that care to want to take a look at it and read it, then, we've accomplished what we wanted to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
Will there be wordage on the top one?
Yeah,
Okay,
Like, would you put word there, or just a QR code?
oh, we could do both. We could
Okay.
put on the base of the sign, you could put a QR code. And then you could have something on the flag that would just say this was the location of the former
Mhm.
railway station for more information, whatever.
Yeah.
And, given its location, I'm just putting it out there. I don't see the landscaping surviving. I think cutting the grass and weed trimming around the base of the sign and keeping the place looking good is great.
Mhm.
So I would want to maybe possibly put that $1,000 landscaping into possibly like a foundational component of the sign. I know that there are people that were adding flowers and stuff to the.
Yeah,
base.
originally, yeah.
And
yeah.
then they may do that again.
Mhm.
But, again, it's sort of like a cemetery marker, right? You want to pay homage to what was there.
Mhm.
But again, if we want to have something that's got a lot more panache, we do that elsewhere.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Maybe you won the lottery.
You maybe,
I just had a couple of notes. So the first one is in regards to that meeting, where the mayor sat in for us, so we had quorum. It was, the note was brought forward as a reminder that council had previously approved the concept of what we were doing, including the location. So it is a little, like, we had a very small discussion about the location, We all acknowledge that, okay, we understand where you were coming from. However, council did previously approve the funds and specifically the concept for that location. So I think there was a little bit of feeling from some of, at least, I'll say it from me, and also having been part of the committee where this is, concept originally, was generated, with previous, committee members. It felt like a little bit of like stepping back. They've already agreed to something and they step back. That was one thing. The other thing I was thinking is, if we do proceed with something else, are we then almost stepping back on what we presented to council for budget in regards to our concept for our continuous language of like the signage that we were proposing, because now we're bringing in a completely different new language, whether it is these metal like press signs or an artifact with something else in there. So I understand where council was coming from, but we also put in the time as volunteers to come up with an idea. And I think we did our due diligence. We came up with a budget, we submitted that, we got quotes, and unfortunately, things are expensive. So I guess I'm kind of just politely trying to say is, I don't want to lose funding, but at the same time, things are expensive, and I thought our concept of using this also as like the first, what was the term we were using?
Wayfinding?
Wayfinding project that we were gonna, keep running with. I don't want to backpedal. I almost don't want to backpedal from what we came up, because we did a lot of work. I think it's a really great idea. I thought it was unique, like it would become something, it'd be very identifying for us, where like when I see the bottom image there, automatically my brain goes to Ontario Heritage Trust.
Mhm.
Those are their signs. As soon as you see one in my brain, I know, oh, they're owned by the Ontario Heritage Trust. It's a certain level of designation. So that's my perspective. That's my personal feeling on this. So if it comes down to cost, because as I said, they've already approved the location. Can we maybe pull back on what our plan is in the sense of how much information we're proposing? Is there any way we can modify? It's no different than, you're proposing a design of some sort for anything. You're building a house, you realize, oh, I'm gonna have to reduce it by 300 square feet because I do not have the budget for the additional 300 square feet. So can we just modify what our sign is gonna look like? Maybe it is only one-sided and not text on both sides, and it's just one large graphic on the back. But that's where I am. I'm not ready to throw everything in the trash of what we did last year. Because not only did we have a specific project we were generating, but we came up with a larger issue that I think would be highly beneficial for the township as a whole. And if we get pushback, maybe that's a risk, but if we lose funding, maybe we just do it again next year or somewhere else. Like maybe we say, okay, fine, we've lost it for the train station, but we are maintaining our concept of this municipal wide wayfinding signage, and we do something downtown, everybody loves it, and then they're gonna be like, oh yeah, sorry, we should have just let you guys do what you wanted to do at the train station 2 years ago. Knock their socks off.
Yeah, I mean, that's a definite possibility, and as I said, with both these concepts, the lower one was, I said, yeah, that's just a standard.
Heritage Trust, yeah.
But using the railway artifact and then the signal, which would then be designed with our new wayfinding colors and graphics. So it's toned down, but
Okay.
it still would contain the componentry that we're looking for in terms of the wayfinding graphics, the color, the new direction that we're heading, but toned down in size. And if we get a switch donated, then everything falls within the budget. It becomes a unique element because that's quite unique in the landscape where the heck that come from? That should be at a railway yard.
Okay.
Oh, well, hey, there used to be a train station here.
Okay.
So
Sorry to
it's,
interrupt, but there's a
Yeah.
way we think we can integrate sort of
Both.
those guidelines that you were developing into the artifact.
totally,
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
but I said, so, yeah, you know what, do I wanna spend 15,000 and it never be looked at? Or do I do something for 7 and it's really trick?
Okay.
And it's something that everybody's gonna be happy with. And it acts as a catalyst for other signs that we're gonna do.
Okay. So it's almost like a compromise. We'll get our signage guidelines in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Reduce the cost.
And still do something unique.
Okay,
Like if it was just strictly a post with the sign on top, yeah.
Okay.
And that's when I was going, you know what, if I could get a switch, that'd be kind of cool.
Sorry,
Is
go ahead.
that whole thing not turned over to the planning and or building? I thought they took everything out of, turned it over to planning and building.
No,
I think.
There's still the
that's just
$7,000
Not
it's
because they-
falls to.
I'm sure they turned that, that somebody else was gonna look after it.
I think the only thing maybe that I could say that that came out of different council meetings and emails I've seen is in regards to when we presented at council and our concept of asking for some funds in regards to generating signage guidelines, like a book,
Yeah.
say, text size, color, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Yeah, wayfinding strategy.
Yes, exactly, and council confirmed, oh, no, you guys don't need to worry about it, that, if that's something that needs to be done, that it would be taken care of internally.
Okay,
Am I right in saying that that's Cole's notes, that's what it basically.
You have that correct.
Because it's a policy, correct?
The budget and the project, first of all, the project still remains under the committee, but it's under Karen's slash the committee's budget. So it hasn't been moved to building and bylaw or anything else. That building, it's just the title that we use to lump in the departments, basically the share house.
Okay,
so,
But it doesn't actually come out of the planning building ECD budget.
No,
It actually comes out of the committee. budget.
yeah, it's the
it's
committee
in the Mr.
budget.
Hack budget.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
so
I think
that-
that's where maybe the confusion is.
So is
Yeah.
that in the work plan then, the wayfinding strategy?
For this
Okay.
committee, yeah,
We're not,
well, it's not in our, which
so
one?
the committee's not doing the policy, right?
Oh,
That's
right,
staff
no,
that
no,
gets
no,
it.
no,
Staff-
that's
staff.
staff and, yeah.
That's on your radar?
It's not on my radar.
Okay,
Is it on your radar?
It's not, so. I was under the impression that the wayfinding signage was a bit of a hot button in terms of, yeah, I thought it was a sensitive topic. It was my take. So to my knowledge, from a communication standpoint, it has not landed on my work plan.
okay,
So,
That's something that staff will have to follow up on.
okay,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah, because if we decide to go ahead with this concept, then what's gonna hold us, we're gonna end up putting the artifact in place and there's nothing
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. And I thought that was kind of this, and I don't know if it's appropriate for me to say this, but I thought that was where the sensitivity came from, is that the wayfinding signage policy guideline was being, I think the perception was that it was being initiated and executed by a committee of council as opposed to internally staff.
Right,
So would I be right in saying that, or?
I think yes, I think there is some sensitivity to that.
Yeah,
okay. So can we just leave it as essentially, I guess, an action item, just in regards to clarification for our next meeting? Okay,
I think we could add the status of it to the work plan because I believe at the very least the committee would be consulted.
Yes.
When the draft of the policy is, especially because one of the committee's projects is tied to it, but also because I think this is really within the part of giving advice on this is within the mandate of the committee itself. So, yes, I can add it to the work plan.
Okay.
At the very least, we can provide an update to the committee
Okay.
at staff level.
Okay.
I don't want to speak for you, Karen or Bridget, but I imagine we could tell the committee, because it will influence the timeline for the project. If we want the signage in the downtown to conform to any wayfinding signage policy, and it makes sense, to be frank. You don't want to put up a sign in the downtown and then have a series of different signs going up with a different style to it.
Okay, okay. That would be.
Yeah, that was kind of what we talked about at the presentation to council, was the idea that this,
Mhm.
we're sort of bringing that forward and we'll work with them, but we're sort of not gonna undertake it ourselves.
And I think that was even further, at least that was my interpretation, and I'll put it that way, at the follow-up meeting that John, you and I had with some town staff. And that's where the term policy came. So, yeah, I'm not pointing fingers, we could just clarify, and then we can know what to do next time. So I'm trying to keep myself organized, so
Okay.
I'm gonna add number 9.
Mhm.
John, what should we call this? Cause I think too, this is like, I'm even going back to like presenting to council. I'm trying to keep myself organized, thinking for like next year.
Chair Stewart, if I might intervene, I don't want to speak for John, but the wayfinding signage policy would probably actually be the literal name of it. I know that we want to be careful of the name, but that is literally the name that is used by other municipalities that have such a policy adopted. So if this is what we're talking about as an update for the work plan,
Okay,
as an aside, we'll include a motion to add that item to the work plan at the end.
okay,
We also have a motion just to add John's proposal as additional materials, so the people that are watching streaming can actually be able to see it just from a transparency perspective.
okay,
Sorry, guys, I have to step out. Okay,
okay, sorry, guys. It's okay. Okay, fantastic, okay, so, before we leave, the train station signage, we have John's images. Are we at a point where we can sort of make a decision on how to proceed, or do we almost need to know? Now, March is just around the corner, so do we need to wait, John, until, and the rest of the committee, until we know what's happening with the signage policy before we make a final decision? But then again, I don't want it, I know a ton of this is of the essence.
Well, it's gonna take time to locate a switch
Okay,
and possibly get one donated to the town. We can I mean, this can be installed with the sign later in the year.
okay,
I mean, it's not like, so if we're waiting for some other things to come together so that when we do something, that it's gonna be following the new town policies or something close to it, then we do have something where we can sort of start fast track some of it.
and I guess the other issue too is, if we do, as a committee, agree to pivot and go with an artifact and associated signage, that is a completely different approach than what we presented to council, what council has previously approved. So then how do we, Mark, I'm looking at you, how does that work from a procedure standpoint?
So we are supposed to bring a report back to council when everything is finalized for the project itself. And I don't know if this merits, it will influence what the final product is that the committee is approving, will influence the recommendations in the report in itself. And the committee, I think, probably should have a motion basically supporting the final design and concept that the committee actually wants to bring to council when it's basically shovel ready, proverbially. And I think this is something we're going to have to craft when we actually see the final product. I don't know if you disagree with me, Karen, or not.
No, so just to be clear, I think because we're changing direction, we will have to present the final concept to council.
Yes,
Okay.
Okay, but the final concept will rely on the policy for wayfinding
yes,
signage.
and that's,
But at the same, so in the interim though, there's nothing to stop us, I don't think, from proceeding.
Okay.
If John is gonna volunteer, and I'm not saying you are the one,
No.
but to locate the switch. And there's nothing to stop us from working on the wording to go
Okay.
on the signage, right? And
Okay.
then we'll put the pieces together and make the presentation.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's all if the committee decides to switch
To
gears.
pivot. Okay.
Switch gears.
Yeah, see, you can do it. and I can do it.
that is good.
Okay.
But yeah, and I think council, not speaking for council, but the fact that we've gone more than double our original budget, now we're sort of understanding some of the concerns and still coming up with something that's meets the requirements for signage, doing it in a unique way and staying within our budget.
So Council Edgerton, I look to you because you are a council member, you get to hear the conversations that go on behind the scenes based on John's revised concept. What do you think based on your additional knowledge of what's going on and comments made about our project? Do you think we should pivot? Do you think a project reduced in budget because we'll have a large portion of it, cross your fingers, will be donated? Do you think this will be something that will be more
I think we have,
acceptable to council?
I think we have to look at the budget monies here and what the project's gonna cost and bring that back to council. On the whole, and let them decide whether they wanna do it or not. Not up to me to make that decision.
No, but I guess I'm just looking to you because you know, we've obviously been, I don't wanna say told, but, it was brought to our attention in December, of some of sort of the behind the scenes discussions as the mayor, sort of alluded to. So that's what I'm looking to you, because I'm assuming you were a part of those discussions, is we still want to maintain something at that site. I guess we're just looking for your opinion, if you think something like this would be a little more on board with what they're like to see there.
I was under the opinion at a council meeting that this signage would not be a whole bunch of money spent up there, that there would be a big sign at this new park area that they're gonna build when they tear down the arena. And that was said right at a council meeting, it should be incorporated into the park area down here rather than up there, the big signage. Smaller version of what John brought up. Yeah, I think maybe that should go through.
Okay, so
Like
something.
it represents the train station there. But I think the opinion that I got from them when they were talking, for the big signage that was originally designed, it should be down here in the park.
That type
The
of
new
budget
park
for
area
something
where more
downtown.
people would see it.
Okay,
That would, like, the mayor was at the last meeting, I wasn't here. Well, I was here, the one that wasn't informed, but the meeting before that, the mayor was here, I wasn't here.
To clarify, Councillor Edgerton, the sign, at least according to the report that was approved by council, or the council gave direction to staff and approved the concept of, did not have the sign going into downtown park. And any sort of signage that would be going into the downtown park, I would imagine would be probably included in the initial proposal of whatever council decides to do with the park, and that's still very much in the flux right now. So I don't want to comment on that project. So I just saying that's what the report basically said. I don't think there was any mention of the downtown park, though there might have been something that.
I think there was some discussion about the downtown
Okay,
park,
sorry,
certainly at the
Karen.
meeting in December.
Okay.
But I think the fact of the matter is there is the $7,000 in the budget for the Mr. Hack Committee
Yeah.
for signage at Station Park.
Yeah,
okay,
So I think the budget is allocated for the project. I don't think there will be, unless something strange happens.
Okay.
I think if we're within budget, I think where the council consideration will come is in the look of it. Does it satisfy
okay,
the direction of how the township wants signage to look.
Okay, okay. Karen, that's where I was going, because based on that December meeting, I was starting to question if we would get anything there at all anymore.
Yes, well, we had the 7,000, it's been a rollover.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be so bold as to suggest if we don't use it this year.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Okay, okay,
So we need to pivot somehow
okay,
to have a project done within the budget,
Yeah.
or we need to say, okay, we surrender. This is not at the top of the list of our work program. We'll move on to other priorities.
okay, okay, perfect.
And, Council Eglinton had said at one point, when we were having some dialogue over about asking for additional funds, we might lose it all.
Yeah.
So when I saw this, that it was still there, that's when I said, okay, that's even more important that we get her done. But we don't think about the grander idea, scale back, but still do it in a very unique fashion. And who knows, we could probably do this for under our budget.
Okay,
Like, I think that council is all right with some representation of the train station up there, but the big picture would be where more people would see it. If they get this
because
part built
they
out.
did originally approve it, that's why that
Yes.
is there.
Mhm.
It's just, there's been conversations and things alluded to, anyways, so let's just spend it and get it done. Okay, fine, that should just add that to the line. Spend it, get it done. Okay.
Be in the work plan.
So, sorry, Mark, I'm gonna go off on a little tangent
No, it's
here.
okay.
We've had this discussion. I'm feeling that we are all in agreement, to spend it to get it done. We need to pivot. We have, I think, a fantastic idea in front of us that still
Mhm.
draws our larger concept of integrating some of our signage, wayfinding
Mhm.
language for the rest of the township eventually. Do we need to do a motion specifically for that, or can I just go through the rest of the work plan and then we'll come
Yeah.
back and?
I haven't seen anything that needs a specific motion with like we're not, I think this is still within the scope of the project. We're not, it's not like we're proposing something entirely different. So
Okay,
we'll have a motion to, at the end, I'm gonna have two motions for you. You caught me off guard for a second. I was writing a draft
Oh,
motion
sorry,
as I, not previously, not now. So we will have two draft motions at the end. One is to approve what John is proposing as additional documents, so we can put it on the website.
okay,
And then second thing is we're gonna have a motion to receive the updates to work plan, and I will incorporate some of the discussion into the work plan update. There might be something in between that we'll talk about on the staff level
Okay.
that I can get, because we're gonna be working on this in between as part of the get her done
okay,
element. But we will also add one new item to the work plan. You just want to update on the wayfinding signage policy. And I can say we do have another committee where we have two policies that are being designed by staff that need the input of the committee. And so this will probably be a similar concept.
okay, great. Okay, so then I think it's fair, I can proceed with the other items on the work plan?
yeah.
Okay, so jumping to number 6, the existing mural, restoration and maintenance. So this one, I know, this one is just the continuance of, going downtown and just touching up that mural every year. So that's just a contracted service amount that's held yearly, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Till the Tinney property gets developed.
I will note, and I'll give a heads up to Bridget. I believe there was conversation in the committee last fall about if it's possible to do the touch up in the spring so that it can kind of be
Yes,
available, kind of looking its prettiest for the summertime,
okay,
when it'll get the most eyeballs.
that's a very good suggestion. Okay. Number 7, the DL's, Springville and Ebenezer Cemetery signage. Creating verbiage, draft wording for Springville ready for review at March 2025 meeting. Ebenezer wording will be ready for review in June of 2025.
So they may both be ready for March.
Okay.
So, just so you know, I have been working on it. And, it's interesting because there's lots of information on the Springville Church,
Okay,
not so much on the cemetery itself. So I was in a bit of a dilemma. Anyway, then I just want to recognize too that Kim McLeod from the Historical Society has been very valuable and very helpful.
fantastic.
So I do have some wording for the signage, and then on the QR code, we can round out maybe with information about the church itself. but the signage will be, the limited wording. Ebenezer, it has been somewhat of a challenge to track down information, so that sign will probably be a little bit briefer. But that's okay. Will continue to dig and we'll just continue. Again, I think we need to get on with it. You know, what they say, perfection is the enemy of good, right? So, get on with it. Do the signage and then as we collect more information, we'll just add to the QR code
Exactly.
information. So I think that's where we're heading right now. So,
Okay.
and the one question that is still in my mind, and maybe Nancy can help, is so we call it the Ebenezer Cemetery, but it's not related to the Ebenezer Church. So this is the one little tail I'm still chasing.
Okay,
So yes, so there will be something on the next agenda for you to review.
fantastic. Okay, great. Number 8, cultural mapping review project. Says the Historical Society willing to be involved in this project. They will be providing a list of culturally significant locations to pull information for them. Funding for a summer student for the project was approved in the 2025 operating budget on January 27th, 2025. Fantastic. Okay. And Mark, you noted earlier that the student will be hired for this position
Yeah.
in the spring, summer.
Yeah, I shouldn't actually speak to the timeline.
Oh, okay.
Karen will be, that was probably me being a little bit verbose.
That's okay.
So there is a job description generated.
Mhm.
It is being advertised this week.
Mhm.
We were a little later than intended just because there's been lots of sickness.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yes, the notice is going out. And we're hoping to get someone who can assist with moving this project along.
Okay.
So at the same time, if John, if you, with your friends from the Historical Society want to start anytime, we can certainly help generate a list of some sites to get started on.
Okay, yeah, and when I saw that, okay, now we have a board meeting next week, so I'll tell them that we've got a student coming, so let's get the wheels, yeah.
Yes, so of course, the whole student coming will depend on the quality of the applicants, right?
Right.
So there's obviously there's a job description with requirements, so we'll see who applies.
So that'll be posted on the town's website?
Yes, and I believe it's gonna be posted with Sir Sanford and Trent as well, and wherever else they post
Okay,
things.
because I did mention to the student from Trent that's working on our agri ecotourism research project
Mhm.
with Baxter Creek, that there was a budget item coming forward, and if that gets approved, there might be a job. So he seemed quite interested,
Okay,
so
yep,
I could certainly,
yep, tell him
Heads
to
up.
watch, or if he doesn't see anything, just let us know and we'll make sure that
Yeah.
we can send you the information.
yeah, so they're getting about $50 an hour?
No. They're getting 19 something an hour,
Okay,
as per the township
right,
policy. And I believe the timeline is May till close to the end of August.
okay.
I think it's 16 weeks.
Okay. So that would be great if the Historical Society could give us a list of like their priority properties. They can start cross-referencing to see if that's on what's on the existing inventory and either pick it up or confirm it's no longer existing, or we go from there.
Yep, okay.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and just on a note on that, John, I'm kind of counting on the Historical Society doing like the buildings and like the houses and the barns and that type. So on the cultural mapping, there are other cultural things like Fourth Line Theater or businesses that might have been in
Yeah, yeah,
existence.
yeah.
That to me would be less of our priority than the physical.
The structures, yeah.
What do you think about that?
Usually with those cultural heritage mappings, it's the structures that are.
Yeah, there's pictures attached to some of them, but not all, and and the information is very basic, so that would be my priority, given the expertise available that you have.
Yes,
So-
I agree, Karen.
Yeah, and I also know they've done some recordings and interviews.
Huh.
So, because some of the characters align with the properties.
Mhm.
And obviously, I don't think the town's set up yet for people going onto a website and with their QR and hitting something and getting that information, right?
No, because we don't have that ability, but that's not to say that the county couldn't help us with something, so
Okay.
let me talk to Tammy.
And maybe if I can also just add, is maybe to clarify as well, is, any properties that have already designations, that's being dealt with the bylaws. So I think our focus would be on things outside of the designations that are already in place.
Outside of those.
Yeah, it's picking up and confirming things that haven't been listed, like a historically significant barn. Another house, on some rural road.
Well, and also, as was said before, there are a lot of properties and structures that don't exist anymore, but we have pictures and stuff
Yes.
like that, right?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with documenting that. That's what it's there for.
Doing railway station.
Railway station, yeah. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our work plan. I guess, are we ready for our note?
Yeah, I'm advising you, of course, I'm not directing you. But,
You're helping me.
yeah, so first, can we just have I ask for a motion to adopt the additional documents that John Culver provided, so that
Okay.
we can make them available to our residents who want to watch this meeting and understand what is being discussed.
Okay, do I have a mover? Nancy, seconder? I guess, can I second?
Yes,
Okay.
you can.
All in favor? Motion carried, okay.
And the second one would be for the municipal revitalization, Municipal Revitalization and Heritage Advisory Committee to approve the updates to work plan and add a new item being the wayfinding signage policy, an update for the wayfinding signage policy.
Great, perfect. Do I have a mover? John, seconder? Nancy, all in favor? Motion carried. Perfect. Okay, that brings us to the end of our agenda items. So other than the adjournment, and just as an FYI, our next meeting date is March 20th, 2025 at 9 o'clock. So if I can have a mover to adjourn the meeting. John, seconder? Nancy, all in favor? Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
I'll send you a copy of it.
Can I